think we're in a good spot.
Brennan, could you talk a little bit about Mason Graham and the problems he presents?
Yeah, he's a very skilled three technique that can, play a little bit of shade too. He's great lateral movement, great with his hands, but they got a whole really good front. Their whole front fours and the backups are all really good. So great challenge for us. Talented group, but we're ready to go get it.
What's the biggest challenge defensively this week?
For us?
Yeah.
I think that they got a really good offense, and I think it starts with the running game. They got a really good scheme, gap schemes, zone schemes, attack the perimeter, run the ball inside, quarterback runs. They got two good backs, got a lot of tight ends, fullbacks, whatever you want to call them, tough blockers, physical O-line. I think it starts with the running game for them, and yeah, they do a lot.
Did you watch the national championship game when it happened last year?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts of that game and Michigan that day?
At the time?
Yeah.
This was a good game. It was exciting. Yeah, we had Miles Bryant, who was on Washington. We had a couple of Michigan guys, Jabril Peppers, Uche. So there was a little banter in the locker room. I didn't have any feelings on it at the time, other than I hope it's a good game.
Steve, you mentioned the run game. How much does it hurt losing Javon for the season coming into this one, especially with a team that's going to be so strong running the ball up the middle?
Yeah, I think anytime you lose a player, it stinks. It's part of the game. You don't wish it on anybody, but it's part of the game. And, yeah, it's tough, but we'll still play with 11 guys, and somebody's got to be ready to go.
Who do you think that's going to be, at least this week?
I mean, he's still rotated and stuff like that. I think it'll be similar to how we started the year when he wasn't out there. So, yeah, D-line always rotates, so I think it'll be a mix of guys.
Was there a reason Alinius Davis didn't get much run last weekend, just not part of the game plan, or?
Yeah, sometimes it just plays out a little bit differently during the game and stuff like that. But, no, nothing specific.
Steve, you have a former Michigan player on your defense. He's working his way up in Hayden Moore. Could you talk about his progress a little bit?
Yeah. I think he's been doing a really good job, trying to fit into the scheme and learn the scheme. He was a guy who missed the spring and then came in training camp it felt like every few weeks in the spring somebody was being added in or something like that, but then finally got here, doing a really good job for us, and excited about the progress of him and everybody else on defense.
So him being on the scout team, it's almost appropriate because he was part of Michigan, and now he's Michigan this week against your guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to speak for him, but I think just, we're all Huskies, so it is what it is. I don't know how much that's going to help or hurt. I'll tell you after the game, but yeah, he's doing a good job for us, and that's all we care about.
For both of you, 59 players were part of that title game last year, 51 weren't. So, it's not something that the whole group experienced. The coaching staff is not part of that game last year, right? I'm just curious what that's like with conversations this week, with people talking about last year, or is it kind of not really much of a topic?
Yeah, I think because of the amount of new players that are going to be playing this game as opposed to that game, I think it'll be a little bit subdued in that manner. But I know that they've mentioned it. But yeah, it's not at the forefront. It's we got to go play this game. It's this team versus that team, not the two teams from earlier this year. So it'll be interesting.
Steve, what do you make of Orgy, the quarterback? And there's been some talk about how little they rely on the passing game and how that can potentially put a team to sleep a little bit, and you can get burned if you kind of show up with that kind of mentality. What do you make of him and their passing attack overall?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta respect their game and respect how he's played so far this year, and you never just assume that the offense will just run and not pass, or just pass and not run. You got to respect the game, respect their offense. So we'll prepare for everything, and then what they decide to do that's up to them, and we just got to be ready for it.
Brennan, the game was just ruled a sellout here in the last hour or two. I know you guys have been gigantic NFL stadiums, big crowds, and things like Super Bowls, things like that, but here you're gonna take it up a notch at Husky Stadium, and you felt it the first couple of games with, a few gaps in the seating, and now there's not gonna be any of that. You curious to feel it, see what happens on Saturday?
I felt like we've gotten a pretty good idea of what this Husky fan base can do. They've been fantastic in all the games at Husky Stadium, and I expect that to be the same. Would bet there's some opponent fans as well that'll turn it up a little bit too. Michigan's got a great fan base, and they'll be excited for their team. But I think we had a good feel for it, and appreciate the fan base for that.
Brennan, the offense has struggled a little bit in the red zone. There's been some penalty issues, some execution stuff. What do you kind of chalk that up to? What are you guys working on just in terms of cleaning that up?
Yeah, some of it's some year one. Just we got to keep developing and keep harping on the fundamentals and make sure we do everything right. We got to find a way to execute in the red zone. Simple as that. It's been different every time. There's not just one issue, so we got to just continue to work on all of them at the same time, so we can go down there and execute like we believe we can.
Steve, you guys took Russell Davis and Leroy Bryant with you to Rutgers, and I know they didn't play, and I know they've been injured for quite a while. Are they getting pretty close, and are you eager to use them?
Yeah, yeah. I think those guys are close, and yeah, that's why we brought them to the game. So, yeah, I think so. I hope so.
Steve, third down seemed to just be a couple of drive extenders for Rutgers. They had a pretty good third down clip last game. Was there something about third down? Was it third and short that they were getting into that was allowing that, or just what did you see on third down defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with the coaching. We just got to do a better job, myself and the staff, of getting those guys ready to go. And yeah, obviously, anytime they convert on third down or fourth down, it extends the drive. So we got to do better at that, starting with the coaching, and then get the players right so that they execute better.
Anything else for these guys?
Have a great day.
We're done.
Well, what's the kind of atmosphere around the team right now, just coming off the disappointment of Friday, everything that you had to deal with in that game, just how is the team responding, do you think, to all that?
I think we're doing a great job. I mean, obviously, we've put that game behind us, learn from it, learn from the mistakes as an offense and as a team. But we've put it behind us, and, we're excited for, a great Tuesday practice today.
Ephesians, how would you rate your performance so far, having changed schools from Arizona to Washington? How has it gone for you this season so far?
For me, I feel like it's going pretty good. It's still some things I could work on. Just running to the ball a little more. Just straining a little more overall.
I know you guys weren't in the game in January, but your teammates that were in that game, do you feel like they wanted maybe more because of what happened 9 months ago?
I don't think you can really look at that. Obviously, people are going to be talking about that because it was the national championship game and things like that. But I know for us, the team is so different. There's a lot of new faces on both sides of the ball. Obviously a new coaching staff and things like that. So, I think we just got to worry about us. I think it starts, in the locker room. It starts with the coaches and the game plan and things like that. So, I just think we got to worry about ourselves and just worry about doing our job.
You have a couple of former Michigan guys on this team. Have you talked to them about playing for Michigan, like Giles and Hayden Moore, the linebacker? Does that come up at all, just in any kind of forum?
No, not really. Like I said, I think it's more about like us and just being the best version of ourselves. Obviously, it's a really good opponent. We have a lot of respect for our opponent, but we're worried about just being the best version of ourselves. I think if we just take our coaching, trust our training, then we'll be fine.
Well, Jed mentioned yesterday that Michigan's been basically wearing the Ravens defense for a few years out there. Like, what does that mean when you see what they do schematically? What makes them kind of unique versus other teams that you see?
I think they do a pretty good job, like with their disguises. I think their third down package is elite. I think it's really good, and obviously they have some really good defensive linemen that can rush the passer, so they can get home with 4 a lot of times. But a lot of respect for them. But yeah, it's the Ravens, or I guess whatever year he was at the Ravens, it's the Ravens defense, and he's obviously an NFL guy, so really smart guy. And then they just do a lot of games defensively, a lot of disguises and things like that. So we have to be locked in on that.
Ephesians, this is the 4th or 5th week in a row that you guys are playing against a pretty mobile quarterback. What have you guys kind of learned as a defense, kind of trying to defend a guy like that throughout the season?
Just to stay on your guy, and during the scramble drill, just lock up. Maybe you don't got to guard the first one, but you got to guard the second one.
I know you guys have played in some big environments, big crowds, bowl games, that kind of thing. There's going to be a sellout here on Saturday, and typically after a loss there might be a fall off with fans, but this one's going the other direction. Just Michigan's coming to town. Do you sense that? You're looking forward to feeling what Husky Stadium's like when it's packed to the gills on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be huge for us, huge for, the university, the fans, our program, our team. I think we're all really excited about that. But yeah, we need the fans to come out Saturday and just, create an advantage for us. Obviously it's it's the greatest setting in college football for a reason. So we need it to be loud, and yeah, we definitely need a home field advantage Saturday.
Well, when you look at the tape, what do you think that you and your offense are still just leaving out there on the field, especially in the red zone?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's just finishing in the red zone, whether it be a penalty that sets us back. Now we're in 2nd and 20, and now we're just trying to maybe kick a field goal at that point, because the odds of converting a 2nd and 20 or a 3rd and 20 are pretty low. So penalties, and then just communication still. Everybody just doing their job. There's several instances the other night, myself included, where guys just don't do their job, and we're forced to kick a field goal, and it's if you make the field goal, it's a 4-point swing whether you would have a touchdown versus a field goal. So just leaving points out there, I mean, it's the biggest thing. You know, we're obviously moving the ball. We're doing some pretty good things, you know, in the open field. But I'd say just penalties and finishing in the red zone.
Take those penalties out of it, take the self-inflicted wounds out of it. Do you feel like you are moving things the way you want to? Do you feel like you guys are executing at the top of this team's game?
Our team, I mean, it's so hard to say. You know, obviously we're doing some good things offensively, but you're always just trying to get better. You know, I think that's the biggest thing for, you know, myself personally. I'm always, you know, super critical of myself when watching the film and things like that. But I don't know. I mean, I think if you take some of those penalties away and we're able to finish in the red zone, that we'd be doing a pretty good job right now. But, you know, we're not. So that's where we have to focus, and we have to be just mentally locked in on those things this week.
Well, I wasn't able to look it up, but have you had a 5-game stretch like this before where you haven't thrown an interception?
You gonna jinx me? I was waiting for somebody to say it. Somebody needs to knock on wood in here or something. But yeah, I mean, Coach said something about it a couple weeks ago, just being able to take care of the ball. And, you know, it's something that I kind of pride myself on, is just taking care of the ball. And, you know, obviously our defense is doing a tremendous job on things like that. So I feel like if I take care of the ball and, you know, we're finishing drives in the red zone, that we're going to have a good chance to win. But I think it all just starts in practice, being real comfortable in the plays that we're calling. You know, Coach Fish, he's, you know, transparent with me on that. Like if I don't like a play, he allows me to, you know, say maybe I want to cut it out this week or something like that. But I'm definitely trying just to take care of the ball week in and week out. So if I throw an interception, it's on you.
So the answer is you've done this before and it's commonplace, right?
I'd have to go back and look. I mean, obviously, my first 3 years at Mississippi State, we threw the ball a lot. And every now and then you're going to make a bad decision when you throw it 50 times a game.
So this might be unusual then.
Yeah, I think. But knock on wood, everybody, please.
So are you a superstitious guy?
Very, very.
Do you have any pregame rituals or game week rituals when you just?
I listen to like the same song on the bus on the way to the game, and then like whenever I'm putting my socks and cleats on, I always put my left sock on, my right sock on, my left shoe on, my right shoe on.
Well, what's the song?
Time marches on.
You're a sock shoe guy?
Superstition? Yeah.
What about you, Ephesians?
Nah, not really. It's just like I listen to similar songs on the way to the game, to the stadium.
What's the comfort level that you feel in this defense? I mean, everybody comes in, new defensive scheme. Even though you're coming over with Coach Fish, it's a totally different defensive scheme. What's the comfort level of you guys 5 games in now?
I feel like we just keep growing as a team, as a defense. We're just getting very comfortable knowing where our teammates are going to be when they're going to have our backs. And I feel like I said, we just growing as a defense and getting more comfortable every week.
I think it's sort of a unique challenge this week with Michigan. Their tight end is kind of the focus of the offense. He's more than double the targets of anyone else on the offense. How does that kind of change the calculus for you guys as a defense this Saturday?
I mean, I say just get hats around the ball. So just everybody running to the ball. No matter the situation, no matter what goes on, just get to the ball. 11 hats to the ball.
So you played with Russell Davis the last couple of years, and you must be pretty close to him because you're both defensive players. Both were at Arizona now, both at Washington. He's had the unfortunate situation of being injured, and saw him in uniform for the first time last weekend. He must be getting close. You must be getting eager to have him join you on the field.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, he's a very great player on the field, very great dude off the field. We always love to have him on the field with us, or at least me, I say.
I would guess that he must have lived in Seattle before because his dad was a Seattle Seahawk. Does that ever come up?
Nah, I don't know, nah.
Probably is a
Probably.
Anything else from these two guys?
Do you guys find yourself almost holding each other accountable with these penalties, that this has become a talking point amongst the players in the locker room? Like, forget the coaches, we got to police ourselves in some ways in this regard. Is that coming up this week at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes up, I mean, not only this week, I mean, we've talked about it in weeks past, but we've obviously, not gotten that point across, and we obviously have to do something about it. So I think it's just being, locked in on the details in practice. That's really where everything starts, is just being locked in on the details in practice and just, holding each other accountable. Obviously, I mean, we have referees that come out to practice and things like that, but I mean, it starts with us. We have to hold each other accountable, and we have to be locked in because, those are drive killers for us. And then, same thing on defense. Like if it's a 3rd and long play and we get PI, that's a free first down. So just holding each other accountable as teammates.
Same question for you.
Yeah, like he said, just holding each other accountable on the field, off the field, just always coming together and disciplining each other as a team.
Why do you guys think you're continuing to have these issues? Is there like a root of it, you think, or?
No. I mean, it's just football. I mean, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. I feel like our mistakes have just happened at the wrong time. So, a couple of those fouls were, borderline calls. Offensive linemen trying to impose their will on guys and things like that. But you have to learn from it. You have to move on. And the biggest thing with those penalties, you just can't do them again. Obviously we've had some costly penalties these, first 5 weeks or whatever it's been, but you can't repeat that, and you have to learn from it and move on.
I know it's probably possible playing in a Mike Leach offense, but you ever been in a game where you had such an advantage with yardage and you lost the game?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think one of the game. I mean, maybe kind of like a similar game in 2021 against LSU, where we had a lot of yards and turned the ball over and had penalties, missed field goals, and we lost. So if you don't finish drives and you have penalties and you don't take care of the football, you're going to lose. So situational football. All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Have a good day.